Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sharaq les dostanu kariban. Hi, I'm Miriam and welcome to Afghan Cooks. Today we're going to make a recipe that was requested quite a bit considering the newness of our channel. And that's for an Afghan pumpkin dish called Borani Kadoo. So it's fairly difficult to get cooking pumpkins where we live. You can get pumpkins obviously for carving, but cooking pumpkins are usually much smaller. You can use any sort of gourd squash instead. So we're gonna use a butternut squash to make this recipe. Let's get going. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the end off so that it sits flat. And then try not to get too much of the, let me try it with the paring knife. Oh, much better. This is how my family members would do this. I'm not gonna do it right now because it's still COVID times and I don't want anyone to have to take me to the emergency room where there's a plague. Once it's peeled, you wanna take the seeds out. Then you wanna cut this into fairly small slices. Once these are cut, you want to put them aside and we're going to work on the rest of our vegetables. What's the rule? Never make an Afghan dish without an onion. I didn't actually grow up eating this dish because my dad didn't like it. Didn't like pumpkin. And so I didn't even have it until I think I went to a restaurant here in Virginia when I came to visit some friends and they ordered this pumpkin dish. And I have to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan. It was sweet, almost like when you have sweet potato dish at Thanksgiving. And it had our traditional yogurt sauce on it, so that was good. Sorry, it's bringing tears to my eyes. The corners of my mind. One large onion that's chopped up here. I'm gonna cut up some of these tomatoes. Anyway, like I was saying, it wasn't something that we'd ever eaten, and it was another one of those dishes where I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, how come we never eat this? And she said, because I don't love you. That's not what she said. She said, because your dad doesn't like it. My dad does not have really particular taste, so it was interesting to me that this was like a thing. I'd never heard her say, you know, your dad doesn't like X. But as we got older, my dad decided to become a vegetarian. Well, really, he's a pescatarian now, but he still doesn't eat this dish. What he does love is to pick potatoes and vegetables out of a really hearty meat dish. He says, but the meat makes it taste good. He doesn't eat the meat because he says it's not good for you, but he does eat fish. The other thing is that I have these little hot peppers. My dad will eat food that's so hot. He used to make us hash browns in the morning. So on a weekend morning, we had an intercom system through our house and he would turn on classical music at like 8 a.m. and he would make hash browns and they would have so much black pepper in them. Just like the entire thing of this. But we didn't have spice grinders then. It was just like the thing of black pepper would be all over it. He would be really, he'd be really happy that we would all be up eating his black pepper potatoes. I'm not a big fan of black pepper these days. I use it because you're supposed to use it, but you know how it's one of those things when you're growing up, if you eat a certain thing and it conjures up a certain memory. My dad has become a pretty decent cook these days. He makes his own fish for himself. I don't remember him ever cooking when we were young. He does now, and he makes really good salads. Really good. At one point he actually said that making salad was his hobby, which is cute, right? He does, I mean, he's really good at it. So if you're gonna have a hobby and it's gonna be making salad, you should do it as well as my dad does. So now all of our vegetables are prepped. Let's get to cooking them. I'm gonna heat up our pan. And take your industrial sized thing of oil, put it in your pan. There are two styles of cooking in Afghan culture. One is the style that you make for your immediate family. Like, you love them, you do, but you don't have to flex, right? So you use less oil, maybe you use your little spray thing of oil. You don't make things as rich or as indulgent. When you have company, when you have guests, you don't skimp on the oil, on the richness of food, so you'll use the fattiest parts of the meat, right? You're not gonna serve your guests chicken breast. Not that there's anything wrong with chicken breast, it's not done. My grandmother used to get really upset when people would add potatoes to dishes when she was a guest in people's houses, because she would say, you don't serve your company potatoes because potatoes are filler. It's just a style of hospitality that we have in our culture, that you always give the guest more fat. I mean, that's just how it is. More fat, more sugar, more meat, more, I mean, when you look at our company rice, the rice that we give to our guests is like glistening on the top with oil and butter. But the rice that we eat at home is like just white, just kind of hangs out. So we're gonna add, when this gets nice and hot, we're gonna add the onion. You want your onion to get a little bit of color, right? And then of course, your ginger garlic paste. Again, you know, if you read the written recipe, I always give you the amounts if you're gonna use fresh ginger and fresh garlic. But I'm telling you, get your hands on this. There are two things that have really changed my outlook on cooking and made it a lot easier. One is this, of course, MSG, secret Afghan ingredient, and tomato paste in a jar. Like, why is this not a thing for the rest of America? You get it in these little tiny cans, and then you open it, you use like a spoonful of it, and then you gotta get a Tupperware and dirty a whole Tupperware. I don't get it. Why do we do that? It makes no sense. Or the tubes. I mean, what's a tube for? I don't know. Maybe you can tell me. But if you go to any brown store, Middle Eastern, Arab, Afghan, it doesn't matter what, any sort of non-westernized store, you will find entire rows of tomato paste in a jar as God intended. And really, I only discovered this a couple of years ago. So it's not too late for you either. You can change your life too. Believe in yourself. I'm gonna cook the tomato paste so that it gets nice and browned. Remember, adjust your heat. Your stove and mine are gonna be different. You don't want your onions to brown too much. You know, when you grow up in two cultures, it takes a while it took a while for me anyway, because I grew up here before the war in Afghanistan began, before we had a big refugee population. And I really tried to anglicize my food. I really tried to make it more Western when I was younger. And also because, you know, we're very health conscious in this country. So I wouldn't use a lot of salt. And while I always understood the parameters of cooking, it was never very good because I never used enough salt. I never used enough oil. It was fine. It just never got elevated to that next phase. And again, these recipes you can make all the time. And again, you might use less oil. You might use less of salt or spices. But when you make them and you really want the taste, you add our tomatoes. Now, if you've watched these videos, you know there are spices that we use all the time in Afghan cooking. Can't do without turmeric. Always got to have that in here. coriander. And again, don't be nervous. The written recipe will have all of the measurements. And cumin. I'm gonna add just a little bit of paprika in this too, because why not? And then salt. Some pepper. Not as much as my dad used to put into our hash browns. You ever tasted like McDonald's hash browns, oddly enough? They're good though, Dad. They're good. You did good. My dad came to America when I was still in Afghanistan. My mom was pregnant with me. And he came to finish up med school and do his residency here. And when I got to America, I got off the plane and this man met us at the airport. And I was like, "Ma, who's that?" My mom said, "That's your dad." And I said, "No, my dad is in that picture. This is my uncle." Because he looked like my uncles that I lived with back in Afghanistan. And the word for father's brother, uncle on your father's side, is kaka. So that's what we call my dad, and everyone calls him that now. Once the tomatoes have started to break down, you want to add some water. We're going to throw just a little bit of MSG in here. MSG makes everything taste better. We're going to turn the heat down just a little bit. And remember, what's the key? Taste, right? Taste, 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 taste. Make sure there's enough salt. I actually might have gotten it right the first time. Now, once your sauce is ready, you're going to add your squash or pumpkin. Make sure that it's you get all of the pieces covered in the sauce. If your sauce is too thick at this point, add a little more water. And you're gonna cover it and let it cook. Make sure it's not boiling too much. You wanna put it on a robust, you wanna put it on a robust simmer, right? Like it's gotta be like, I'm feeling a little happy. The squash is ready. It was on the stove for about 30 minutes. And we have our yogurt sauce over here. Yogurt sauce recipe is over here. Make sure you click on that so that you'll know how to make this. It's key. You'll use it in every single, well, not every single recipe, like not in the donut recipe that's coming up, but almost every recipe that we have that's a main dish or even a soup or something like that has this yogurt sauce or some form of this yogurt sauce. And the way we do this is we take the sauce and we put it in the bottom of our serving dish because we want every single bite to have some of this sauce in it. Look at that. If you didn't want to replate this, you could actually just drizzle the yogurt sauce directly on top of this and just serve it just like that because it's pretty. And then of course, parsley bay. I was told to not be so intense with my parsley throwing. I guess I was throwing it in the yogurt video. So I'm trying to be just... If you like this recipe, please subscribe, hit the like notification. No, click the like button, the thing that goes like this. Thanks, bye.